Okie dokie. So, welcome back to my channel. For this video, I just kind of wanted to give you guys a bit of a unscripted yap video, just going over the big diet that I just did. I'm gonna want to let you guys know how it went and why it went the way that it did. So, just to really generally sum up what happened, I started out the diet ranging anywhere between 109 to 111 kilos, depending on what was going on. Hard to give you a super precise answer of what I weighed because it was like, coming in right after a meet. So body weight's flying all over the place with the water cut and just stress around the meet and stuff like that. But starting the diet somewhere in the realm of 110 kilos, that is back in April, beginning of April, second week of April. And then we made our way down to 101 kilos. It's the lowest weekly average body weight. By the end of June, about third week in June, I made it down to that point. So that is about 10 kilos over 10 weeks, which comes out to being a pretty notable diet. Not just the rate of weight loss, but the duration that I withstood that weight loss is pretty chunky for most powerlifters' diets goes. That's a big cut. So I kind of wanted to go into it for you guys. So to just start it out really generally and really broadly, I want to just go into why did I do the cut. So like I said, I was walking around at about 110 kilos going into Ghost Clash. At Ghost, I ended up doing a small water cut and weighed in at about 104, I think it was 104.3, 230 pounds. I was like right 230 on the dot. I know that part I do remember. So that is all well and good, but I would like to try and beat a 100 kilo record at the end of this year. It is the 100 kilo junior total record held by Ashton Ruska. I believe he has it at 950.5. My goal is set at 952.5 because I will not have chips available. So I need to make weight for that. And I have a very consistent track record of attempting to make weight to 100 from like astronomically high numbers, like trying to cut from 112 and stuff like that, and then missing by a little bit. So I was like, all right, this time, like I did the little mini water cut at Ghost to kind of like feel out how much I can comfortably cut, given that strategy of cutting, which was just a much more gentle approach. And the answer seems to be about 6 kilos. I think I can do about 6 kilos every single time as long as I don't mess anything up horribly. And I should not lose any performance, or at least not any noticeable amount of performance. So goal is then to come into the American Pro, which is where I'm going to be trying to set this record, in November, weighing about 106 kilos. But I know, just looking at myself before the diet started, I'll try and throw a picture up in here. I had some body fat to lose. I was probably walking around at like 18% body fat, maybe even higher. And there's just, I would have rather had room to actually get that body fat off and then maybe build some muscle tissue back in, rather than just trying to really slowly diet down to just like get to the 106 and then call it there. I thought I could have gotten a better body composition by going down further and then building back up into 106, 105, 106 range. So cut all the way down to 101 kilos. And I do think I was pretty successful in getting a good chunk of body fat off. I'll show you some after pictures as well. And I do believe I have an after video that I will throw in at some point. That is just a lot better camera quality, so you can kind of see the actual like amount of tissue on my body as far as fat goes. So I did make it down, and it went really well, I'll be honest. My performance throughout the cut was just like in the gym performance, like strength-wise, was just simply much better than expected, based on how it's gone in previous cuts. And I do think a lot of that is not just how consistent I was with nailing all my variables. Like I only went off diet one single time throughout the cut. But I think a lot of it was also the strategy that I used for it. So I will go into that strategy a bit. I'll throw up a graph of my body weight throughout the cut during this part, just so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. But you'll notice it was a very, like the average line was very linear going down, but there's a lot of like, it's like a cyclical nature almost. Like you'll see I'll go down really aggressively throughout a week and then jump back up. and like having that repeated pattern. By the way, we're looking at the graph right now. That first week that looks insane, that is my water cut going into Ghost Clash. That's why it looks so crazy. It's also why there isn't really much data after that for that week. It's because I was at Collegiate Nationals coaching and just really not trying to get food down at all. I was just doing whatever I needed to do for that week. So we're in this like cyclical nature of like heavy drops throughout the week and then a big buildup at the going into the next week. So what that was is part of my carb loading strategy. So I was carb loading throughout this cut into my SBD days. And I guess the best way to describe that is just that I had extremely low days and an extremely high day as far as carbs go. So we were talking somewhere in the realm of like 300 grams of carbs less than my medium days on the low days and 300 grams more on the high days. So there was a massive disparity between carb amounts throughout the week. So the medium days were all of my like standard like secondary, tertiary training days. These are my Monday through Thursday, where it's just like my accessory days, my secondary squat, and my secondary bench day. Those are all medium carb days. For most of the diet, they were at about 500 grams of carbs. And then my Friday and my Sunday, which are my 2 rest days, I would have low carb days. Those were down actually under 200 grams of carbs. I think they were coming out to about 160. Reason why I was doing that and the way I was doing that is because getting the carbs down that low would really help keep my digestion going throughout the rest of the week, because even though I am in a deficit, I do still eat a lot of food. I was starting out the diet for like the first 6 weeks of it. I think I was at about 4,400 calories, which is by no means small. That is still a notable amount of food. Like still enough that I need to make sure my digestion is really efficient during that time. So those low days, what they would do is they would give my whole just digestive system just a massive break from food. And those carbs that I was getting was 100% through either fruit or honey. I wasn't taking in any grains or anything. I also was stopping eating vegetables on those days. Not that vegetables are bad, but I know that if I give myself a little bit of a break from vegetables like one day of the week and then eat a bunch the rest of the week, my stomach typically is a lot happier. So those days, the food selection was pretty much just eggs, steak, salmon, berries, chicken, and pineapple. That's it for those days. And I felt great. I felt really good. I wasn't getting too hungry at all during them. Not exactly sure why, but no hunger at any point during those days. And then I felt really able to like absorb my whole high carb days, which were in the middle. And those high carb days, the Saturdays, those were running towards like 800 to 900 grams of carbs, especially at the beginning. Those were pushing 6,000 calorie days. And they were on my SBD days. So I do all 3 of my primary days, my primary squat, bench, and deadlift on the same day. I do them all on Saturdays. So those are huge training sessions for me. So I was having like extra rice, extra fruit. I was having like a mass gainer shake to finish the day. I had 100 grams of carbs in my intra workout. Those days were super high carb. And that's where we're seeing that big spike throughout the week come from. I would very regularly be waking up Saturday morning after my Friday low carb day, like a kilo or a kilo and a half lighter than I would wake up Sunday morning after the high carb day. The average I think was 1.2 kilos, the difference. So we're talking huge jumps into those Saturdays, which made the performance on them really good, especially because I would always do my best to get about, by the end of the SBD day, I'd try to have about 400 grams of carbs in me. So I was very well fueled going into those Saturdays. So we're seeing huge jumps in weight throughout the Saturday, and then the Sunday rest day, the low carb day, helped start to bring it back down. And then throughout the week, I would resettle back into my like the low point I should be, as well as just losing actual tissue. So we're watching the trend of the weight go down, and then just repeating that cycle every single week. So I ended up feeling really good throughout all of it. Honestly, I think I could have even gone longer in the deficit and continued to maintain performance. And I say that because the first SBD day, the first block in there that came at about week 6 of the cut, I did pretty well, but it was honestly not as good as the second one. Like I feel like the second performance, the end of the cut SBD day was better. So then cardio, what did I do cardio wise? A lot. I did a lot of cardio throughout the whole time. So I was doing fasted cardio in the morning. Reason being is because I am enhanced, and I do have access to some supplements that can help me free up some fatty acids into my bloodstream. So that means if there's no sugar in my bloodstream because I haven't eaten yet, I'm still fasted, then my body's going to prioritize taking energy from the fatty acids in the bloodstream, which will help me lose proportionally more fat to any other tissue. So I was doing a lot of fasted cardio in the morning. We're talking what looked like about 18 minutes at about 10-degree incline on a treadmill for at like 3 miles an hour. I'd be doing that every morning. And then 3 mornings a week, the ones further away from my lower body days, I would be doing bike sprints, 10 seconds on, 50 seconds off, like for 5 rounds, just enough to keep the heart rate healthy and all that, because I was taking a lot of caffeine throughout this cut to keep energy levels up, to keep me moving, and to just keep everything feeling happy. So I did want to make sure I was really taking care of my heart during this time as well, which the HIIT was definitely helping with. Or I should say, should be helping with. I guess I didn't really get an answer as to if it's helping or not, but I felt great the whole time. Resting heart rate never got over like 80, which it's high, but for the amount of caffeine I was having by the end, which was probably 500 milligrams a day, that's pretty reasonable. So that was all going very well and great. And then outside of the structured cardio of the treadmill and the HIIT, I was also just trying to get steps in, just a lot of steps. So during the first increment, the first about 6 weeks of the cut, where I was eating 4,400 calories a day, I was trying to go for about 15,000 steps, just because my baseline is usually about 12,000. So I was like, all right, let's up it by a little bit. 15,000 steps. I know for me, about 1,000 steps a day correlates to about 100 calories extra burned. So doing that up me by about 300, I thought that was a pretty reasonable starting point. Excuse me. And then going into the second drop off, which happened at about 6 weeks and maintained until about 7.5 weeks into the cut, I dropped down to 3,900 calories a day, and I bumped the cardio up from 15,000 to 17,000 steps a day, or 1,750. Again, just because I knew I wanted to maintain that about 1 kilo a week weight loss range. And if I'm starting to see my weight loss stall at all, that probably looks like I'm going to be down to about, half a pound a week, so like a quarter kilo a week. That's just not enough deficit for me. So to make up the rest of that 3/4 of a kilo a week deficit that I wanted to be in, it would be 500 calories worth of deficit I was creating, and about 250 calories worth of cardio, or that I was creating deficit through cardio, and then 500 through food. Reason why I was prioritizing more towards the food than the cardio is just because I know that I had a lot of room to spare. On my medium carb days, not even high carb days, I was still struggling to get all of my food down at sometimes. So I was like, I can easily eat less. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. Bump the calories up as well, or bump the steps up as well, though, just to keep it even, keep it healthy. And then for the last 2.5 weeks of prep, it was looking like I was slowing down a little bit, and I really want to finish the cut out. I said prep, I meant the cut. So we did one more of those exact same jumps where I dropped another 500 calories and added another 2,500 steps a day, and worked like a charm. Weight really came off at the end, right up until the last minute. So all was well and good there, felt really good about it. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering what the PEDs situation looked like. I won't go into too many specifics because I don't want to be giving anyone any ideas, but the total dosage maintained at peak about 350 milligrams a week. So we're talking just above TRT range, right at the end, just a little bit to keep me feeling all right and not beat up in the gym. But the bulk of it, like the first 70%, was done straight up just like TRT type doses, like 200 a week. So then, I mean, all in all, I'm really happy with how this went. I feel like I got a great result out of it. But what I'm honestly, truly even more proud of is how the reverse has gone from it. So I will be making a video at some point about how to reverse diet, because I do think it is not talked about enough. None of dieting is talked about enough, but reverse dieting especially. So what I did by that to reverse diet is, instead of just being like, okay, time to go into a surplus because I want to grow again, all I did was I did the first step back. So that last thing I did, where I dropped from 3,900 down to 3,400 and bumped the steps from 17,000 to 20,000, I just undid that. Went back to 3,900, went back to 17,000 steps, because I knew that was the last point in which I stopped losing weight. So if I go back to that, I probably will stop losing weight again. which indeed I managed to maintain. And then we gave that another week or two, and I just needed a little bit more. So we're like, all right, we can try and start getting the weight going again. So we just add in a little bit here, by just bit by bit throughout the following 4 weeks, because it has been about 4 weeks since the diet has ended. So what we were doing is we were adding about just small increments of food. Like we were going from like, all right, we're gonna go from medium-sized sweet potato to a large sweet potato for breakfast. We're gonna add a banana at this meal. Like, okay, we're gonna add a little bit more pineapple to this meal, just a little bit here and there. And throughout the process of just gaining just little bits and bits of food, I am up to now almost 4,500 calories a day, which is more than I started the diet out with. And my average body weight has only gone up by about a half a kilo. I'm now sitting in the high 101s as my average, after getting about 1,000 calories onto the diet. And I do attribute that to keeping cardio really high, keeping the food selection really, really clean, like keeping it like high fiber, like low volume food. So my body is staying really uninflamed and just digesting it really efficiently. And just, yeah, keeping activity high and training really hard. So I'm all in all very proud of how this diet went. Really exciting, because I know that next year, when I do my probably last big diet for a while, it should also go well, considering I've learned a lot and I know exactly what my body needs. So with that, you guys, I will leave this video there. I appreciate you all for watching. Do all the good YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that, and I will see you guys next time.